Let's talk about digital versus analog trunked radio system. There's a difference, but there's also some similarities. Let's explain that one. Hi, my name is Phil Lichtenberger, and I've been in the scanner radio hobby for about 4 decades, and I'm going to take part of the knowledge and transfer that over to you. In this series, I'm calling Scanner Radio University. So back when this nerd first started scanning, there was only analog trunk radio systems out there. That means that the voice channels on this system were analog voice, but there was also a digital component. In fact, all trunk radio systems share this same digital component, and that is the control channel. A control channel is the steady stream of information that is sent to every radio that is on that particular site on that trunked radio system or network. And of course, this information not only says, hey, this is where the different talk groups are and where they're located and where they're going on this particular site, but also, hey, does your radio have the ability to even register on my site? Are you permitted to be here? Am I going to deny you? Hey, is your radio stolen? Do I need to zap or stun your radio? But it also gives information about that trunked radio system, such as its NAC or its WACN. Those NACs and WACs are the different parts of the trunked radio system that identify itself. And if you haven't been part of the Scanner Radio University series yet, and you don't understand what a trunked radio system is, then check out our prior videos located right here in the Scanner University playlist, especially the one that is the introduction to the trunked radio systems. But to quickly summarize things and to bring you up to speed if you haven't watched those yet, a control channel is like a conductor in an orchestra, right? And we can see the conductor telling everybody when and what to play. The conductor tells all the talk groups and the radios when and where to go to certain voice channels. And a control channel is doing the exact same thing here on a trunked radio system. It tells all the users where all the talk groups are going and when they should be going to what frequency. After this transmission is done, everybody comes back to the conductor or the control channel to wait for the further instructions. And it's this moving around in the conductor or the control channel that is creating this symphony that is happening on a trunked radio system. Simply stated, the conductor or the control channel directs everybody where to go on this trunked network. So again, we're talking analog trunk systems here. Motorola Type I, Motorola Type II. Again, not phase 2. It's a different animal here. And also think EDACS and LTR, right? These are all old legacy at this point, trunked radio systems that are going the way of the dodo. They all have or can have an analog voice component to them. And that is why they're called analog trunked radio systems. Now, we also have digital trunked radio systems. These digital trunked systems don't have any analog component to them. They are fully digital, meaning that the control channel and all of the voice channels are digital. There are no analog voice channels at all on this system. And examples of these are P25, both phase 1 and phase 2, DMR and all of its flavors, and also NXDN, just to name a few. But there's also a third option here, which is a hybrid system, something that goes between the analog system and a digital world. This is where we have, say, an old analog Motorola Type II system with some P25 talk groups on them. And you do need a P25 capable scanner to listen to these trunked system talk groups. And what kind of radios are we talking here? We're talking early P25 radios, such as the Uniden BC785D or its handheld counterpart, the 250D. These radios allowed us to listen to P25 talk groups on the old legacy Type II systems. And at the end of this podcast, we're going to talk about why you can't use some of these older P25 radios to listen to these newer P25 systems, even though, confusingly, they are labeled P25. Now, in the EDACS world, we also had ProVoice. ProVoice is the EDACS digital technology on the old EDACS system. ProVoice allowed us to have digital talk groups on that system. And of course, systems like this were in use for quite a while. But again, as everything matures and evolves, well, these old analog systems eventually evolve into full digital systems. And why is this? Well, digital allows us to have better spectrum management. We can actually compress all of the voice and all of the data into a smaller footprint. And when it comes to some of this digital voice, a higher fidelity of sound can be heard or can be had. But again, we're talking about some more digital stuff like telemetry and over-the-top services that necessarily we can't hear on our voice scanner radios. And when it comes to going from FDMA to TDMA, we can double our voice capacity on the same frequencies. So again, if we have a FDMA P25 phase 1 talk group, that voice channel takes up the full frequency. But when it comes to TDMA, that's time division multiple access. That means that users alternate their time slot on the same frequency. So what ends up happening is you have one user talking, then another user or another talk group, and then it alternates talk group 1, talk group 2, talk group 1, talk group 2. So with that same footprint that was normally tied up with an FDMA transmission, we now have TDMA alternating it over time. So we've doubled our capacity on a single frequency. Now this happens milliseconds apart. We don't hear it, but the radio knows that there's an alternate happening here, right? That things are cycling through. And it does require a little bit more horsepower on a scanner radio to do this. But again, it's the evolution of these trunked radio systems and stacking and adding more to less, right? Out of the box is TDMA. P25 and NXDN had to evolve into TDMA. So let's get one myth out of the way here. A lot of people just assume that we migrate into digital just for the sake of encryption, and that is entirely 100% not plausible, because even in the analog days, we still had the ability to encrypt talk groups. It's just a lot easier now to have encryption on these talk groups because it's just a flip of a bit or a flip of a switch. And encryption can be enabled pretty quickly. It can be deployed rapidly. But every radio ahead of time would have to know that encryption key in order to decrypt that transmission. So there does need to be some setting up here, but again, it's the nature of the beast these days. And it's the progression of these trunked radio systems that's part of the scanner radio hobby. And being up to date and learning about these will keep us ahead or up to date, depending where you live, with what's out there, what we're trying to monitor. So if you live in an area that hasn't migrated over to digital yet, consider yourself lucky, because you can still use some of the older legacy equipment. And I seem to think that a lot of these digital talk groups and transmissions sounds like people are talking underwater. It doesn't exactly sound as clear or as, as great as analog transmissions do. But again, that's just me in my old ears, and I want to know, do you feel the same way? Do you think that digital does not sound as good? Or do you think digital sounds better than analog? Let me know in the comments below. And before we touch on to why we can't use our older scanner radios like the BCD 785D on newer P25 systems, I just want to take a second here to thank my Patreon supporters. One of the benefits of being a Patreon supporter is getting a podcast episode early and even our YouTube videos before they come out, depending on the tier that they are on. And of course, bringing this podcast from an audio only to a video platform such as YouTube would not be possible without the support of our Patreon supporters. If you'd like to help support us over on Patreon, please go to scannerschool.com/Patreon. My Patreon supporters help support the podcast and are helping me move from an analog system over to a platform like YouTube so that we can make this old analog podcast a digital podcast on a video platform. No, not really, but it's just interesting just to say that we're going from analog or audio over to video, and I'm just comparing that to the digital footprint here. So why can't you use an old off-the-shelf BC785D and just start using it on brand new P25 systems? That's because the older analog Type II systems had a 3600 baud control channel. That's what the radio understood and how to listen to. But P25, true P25, has a 9600 baud control channel. So it's too fast for these older legacy systems to monitor. It's a completely different protocol. It's a completely different animal. And these radios were never built to listen to true P25. So while they can monitor a 3600 baud control channel and they can demodulate a voice channel, they were just never built and designed to do full 9600 baud P25. So that's exactly why we can't take our older 75D scanners and drop them onto a newer P25 system. Even though they have a P25 card, it was strictly for P25 voice. But there's still hope for radios like this. We're going to be using these radios on conventional P25 frequencies. And there's plenty of them out there that are still available to listen to. And right off the top of my head, some federal stuff, if it's not encrypted, can be heard because they primarily operate in the VHF and UHF spectrum. The Coast Guard, at least where I am, uses mixed mode, either they're analog or they're P25. And sometimes they're not encrypted, which makes for great listening. And even the Civil Air Patrol will sometimes use P25, believe it or not. And of course, there's good old amateur radio, which still happens to use P25 on some repeaters. So there's still some use out there for these 25-year-old P25 scanners. Yes, you can use them in conventional mode, and you can use them on the old Type II systems, and maybe you still have some of those out where you are. By me, those Type II systems are long gone. My 75D listens to P25 frequencies. So let me know if you find these types of videos helpful and if you have an old 75D and if you're still using that on P25. Please subscribe so that you know when we drop the next Scanner Radio University video in this series, because we are going to keep going to make you an expert in the scanner radio hobby. My name is Phil, and this series is here to teach you all about the scanner radio hobby. We'll catch you all again soon. 73.